Hi, everyone. It's Coach Mo Fall. I am here with an awesome executive career coach, my side-by-side partner, and our experience, probably, Stacey, is over 75 years of leadership and management. Stacey is an ex-CEO. She ran a big healthcare company as CEO for 14 years. And I've been CEO for a mid-sized company and chief operating officer for a division of a publicly traded company. Among my career, Stacey moved her way up the ladder in such a beautiful, progressive fashion. I would call her to have a model career. And a few years ago, she moved from the corporate CEO role into helping other women, like all of our clients, advance in the executive ranks. It's what I've been doing for 8 years after leaving corporate America, and we are rocking it with helping women advance in the executive ranks. Today's conversation is why you may not be advancing in the executive ranks. And I can tell you, folks, Coach Stacey has helped more women navigate the tricky, treacherous territory of being an executive leader. I get to hear her all the time coaching our clients, and she is phenomenal. Stacey, welcome to our Coach Mo Live, Bring Your Soul to Work podcast. If you're catching us on Facebook Live, welcome, welcome. Is there anything else you want to add about your background as an executive that I didn't cover to give you the full depth and breadth of what you bring to the table?
Hi, Mo. No, I think you did a really good recap. My last 14 years, I was the CEO of a healthcare company. And before that, I had a long trajectory in healthcare. From manager to director to executive director, vice president, and all the way up to CEO. It's been a great ride.
Yeah,
I really loved what I did. And now I am working in your coaching career leadership program. And it's just fantastic seeing how we get to help women every day.
It really is. And today is actually an extra special day because one of our ladies in our executive circle had a huge celebration, 2 years in the making, how she's been navigating things differently in her corporate leadership role. And you had a huge, huge hand in helping her do that. So Stacey and I partner on our Executive Circle program, which is for clients who have completed our 12-week foundational soul-powered career kick-ass workshop, and who have also completed our Kick-Ass Leadership Academy, which is an 8-week strategic and tactical coaching program to be better leaders. And then we have gals who are in our Badass Soulful Leaders, our Kick-Ass Warriors, and those who ascend to the highest levels where we help them navigate the executive circle. So Stacey is helping me with all of those top tier programs, as well as our foundational program, helping women advance their career, and the first step that we do in our primary 12-week workshop. And we're going to talk today about 5 reasons why you're probably not advancing in your executive career. And we come from our own personal learning, but also having coached over 1,500 other women through career up-leveling and several hundreds of women who are in the executive and leadership ranks. Stacey, I know in knowing your career so well that you were really able to navigate every rung of the executive ladder that you created. But what are the things that you're seeing that women are failing at? And let's elaborate on each one, but what's your list?
Okay. So if I had to break it down to, 5 or 6 things, I would say women have a hard time, the ability to read the room.
Right.
Understanding, that's 1. 2, understanding really what leadership wants and how to move that forward.
Yeah.
How to frankly have honest conversations about how to do that by yourself or with a team.
Yeah.
Not really understanding how to get the right consensus from people to forge forward. And probably the biggest one is navigating the politics and the landmines that they deal with every single day.
Right. Right. And, I'm going to say 2 things about those 5 items, and we're going to dive into each one and really peel it apart so that you ladies who are listening to this understand what's really going on, because there's two or 3 elements here. Number 1, if you're stressed out, if you're chronically feeling like you're under fire, you have lost touch with your internal GPS system. I call it your soul. And when you've done that, you can't read the room. You don't really reach into what other people want that well, because you're so busy in survival mechanism, and being overwhelmed, being in that chronic stress pattern blanks you out from being the best version of you. That's number one. Number two, we're still navigating a man's world. Aren't we, Stacey? We deal with this still over and over. Women are raised differently. We're programmed differently. We're conditioned differently. Women are conditioned to take care of everyone else and not think about themselves, which causes us to lose sight of what we need to accomplish in our executive roles. You know, navigating politics, we'll go maybe pop around some of these items, but navigating politics has something that no one wants to talk about. And that is that women will put a limiting belief in their heads and their hearts and their psychology and say, I don't want to deal with it. What happens then, Stace, when people say, I don't want to deal with politics? I'm not like that. What then happens?
Yeah. Well, then they really lose the ability to understand what's going on. If you don't understand how to navigate the politics, and you shut down from it, that world's not going to be open to you. So if you want to advance, if you want to be a leader, you have to learn how to navigate politics.
Yeah.
Now, it's not always stressful. It's really you learning how to maintain a balance, how to read people, how to understand what they want, and then deliver.
Right.
Right. And sometimes you have to realize it's not about what you want. It's about what your boss wants, or the CEO wants, or the CFO wants, or the strategic planning, or the initiative.
Yeah.
So there's many different things, right? And sometimes you need to take a step back and really see what that is. And frankly, having coaching helps you get to those points.
Yeah.
Helps you clear the windshield, right? Turn the windshield wipers on. Have somebody do a little clearing for you.
Yeah. And one of the things that is true with all humans, it's true with each one of us, we have blind spots as humans. We are blocked from some of the truth that would help us just because of how we navigate the world as human beings. So when you have a coach or an expert on your side, they're able to see through things that we can't see through. I mean, I've had a coach of one way or shape or another since the year 2000, when, as you know, I was banging my head up against the brick ceiling in a job I had at that point. And I was damned if I wanted to be right. I wanted people to do it the way I did. I was stressed out. I wasn't making affiliations or collaborations. I was just pushing ahead to meet the goals I was given. And that got me hitting the roadblocks all over the place. And now I know how to do it differently. Let's talk about reading the room. Reading the room. What goes wrong when our clients or when professional women are not able to read the room? What then starts to happen? What are the signals that they're going to see when they're not reading the room?
Well, you can't read the room. There's going to be a breakdown in communication fast. Sure. If you can't, you don't have the ability to pivot when you see the conversation in the room shifting, or the way you thought an agenda would go isn't. And if you don't pivot fast enough, and even sometimes it's a matter of saying nothing and just taking some notes, not feeling like you have to react to every single thing in there, right? Giving yourself some space.
That is so big. How many women do we coach where they're like, well, I needed to say something. They weren't on track. They don't know what my department has to do. I had to say something. And then all of a sudden, we're not reading the room. We're trying to insert what we know to be true. And when we're feeling less than, we're going to have more of an ego play.
Exactly.
Because we're trying to protect ourselves. And you don't know that you're doing this. You just think you're being right and true and honest. Well, I was just being honest in that meeting. How many times have we heard that declaration, Stacey, right before that person gets removed from a committee, stop getting invited, and are seen as a marginalized player because they don't know how to get along with others?
Right. It's really being able to take a step back when things get a little out of whack from what you thought the room was going, what the conversation was going to go, what the outcome was going to be. Yeah. Taking a step back and really being able to see what's going on, maybe take some notes on what you're seeing, and reflecting back later will certainly give you experience and the ability to catch on to things faster.
Right. And you don't have to respond or have an answer to everything. You don't have to be the answer queen. And as a matter of fact, sometimes if you are, you may be operating from not full information and maybe erring on the wrong side of the topic because you might be answering with limited information, which brings
Right.
us, go ahead. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, that's a good segue into understanding what leadership wants versus what you want.
Right.
Right. And sometimes you really are aligned and you go in and the meeting's beautiful, right? And you get great results.
Right.
But there are times you're on a path, you're on a journey. You think it's going to go one way, and then you're sitting and it's not really going to go that way. Or leadership brings in a new point that you didn't know about.
Right.
That shifts the whole direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether it be something big like we're acquiring this company or we're divesting of this product line, or we're going to go on a hiring freeze or whatever it might be that starts to change the navigation. If you don't know what's happening above you, much less side by side, you're going to get caught on the short end of understanding things. And you could, I'm just going to say, be seen as out of touch with your organization.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's a good point. So not only is it understanding what leadership wants, understanding what your team wants, understanding what your service providers want, right? Understanding what happens after you leave that room. So there is a lot of stakeholders and they're not always right in front of you. So really getting a good grip on what that is so important. And again, you go into a meeting, you think you're coming in with, you know what's going to happen, something side rails that. And instead of feeling like you lose touch, it's really taking a step back to pay attention, take some notes. I always say, if you get stuck, write some notes, get your head out of whatever's in your head and just write some notes.
Right. Exactly. What happens so often in the workplace, and we're only speaking from the perspective of the professional women who we've been and the professional women we coach, women who are not used to asserting themselves will sometimes hold back for a while. And then when they are ready to say something, it'll come with a little bit more of an emotional dose than is necessary or appropriate, and it will push people back. And this is something where having conversations earlier is helpful, but sometimes we're reluctant to have it earlier because we fear rejection, we fear being wrong, we fear failure, we fear just whatever the ramifications are that we don't really understand. So we don't have these conversations early enough. And that goes to the third point, and that is being able to have honest conversations without feeling like you have to be defending your point. I know you dealt with this reporting to a board for 14 years. You had to really navigate a lot of different people's opinions or viewpoints. How do we have honest conversations and not feel vulnerable or too vulnerable or threatened?
Yeah. So I'm not going to say you're not going to feel vulnerable, but as you get more used to it, as the conversations continue to happen, and again, as your ability to read the room, read the stakeholders, understand what's going on, building their trust, that takes time. That doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have honest conversations, but you don't want to overshare either. Right.
And
so
yes,
it's a matter of,
isn't this something we see all the time where women feel like they have to have honesty means
overshare.
full disclosure?
Yes. Which
full share, full disclosure,
doesn't.
And they get in trouble because they put too much on the table. That doesn't equal honesty. Full disclosure does not equal honesty. Ladies, please, you got to be strategic in honest conversations. Not
right. And be able to share what is meaningful to that person to win over the conversation.
Aha. Now, this is the phrase. Women, hear us. Every conversation you have needs to have a point. You need to know where you want to take that conversation and where you're going. So when Stacey says winning the conversation, the only way you know whether you've won that conversation or not is to go in with an objective, with a point that you're trying to make, with a way that you're trying to advance things. And Stacey, do we say this all the time? Is this comment or conversation moving the ball down the field?
Yes. Yes. Is it a helpful conversation? Does it have meaning? Will it advance my agenda? Even
Right.
if it's not advancing it for this minute, is it something you could hold in your pocket for a later date? Because
Mhm,
people get sidetracked in conversations, right?
mhm, mhm.
But it's listening, understanding, and holding on to things and being able to know when to talk
Yeah.
about certain things and when not to. But
Right.
always advancing, building the relationship,
Yeah.
building the trust,
Right.
knowing what that person wants.
Yeah. And so often we're finding women uh, going off on tangents because they either can't focus on the point or they're afraid of staying on point because it's getting tight and it's getting a little stressful. But also, we've seen this time and time again, ladies, we're pushing your buttons and it's triggering and you're like, oh my God, that's me. You know, you might want to book a call with us to help you get your career on track. And that is mofall.com/talk. And you can talk to one of our career breakthrough strategists, these great coaches who know how to help you see what's really going on. mofall.com/talk. So often women make the mistake of sharing too much,
Mhm.
up to the point where we've coached women backwards out of conversations they've had disclosing personal medical information,
Mhm.
other personal information about the things that are maybe causing them not to be able to work as much or just getting too personal. And when we talk about having honest conversations, we're not talking about sharing our personal laundry. We're talking about having open, honest conversations that are real and fundamentally important in your workplace. And this is really important to sort of understand the line. Your employer does not need to know that you have mental health issues and that you're going to be out for 2 or 3 days. Having a conversation and saying, I need to be out for 2 days, some stuff I've got to deal with, is sufficing. And
Yes.
I know that that might sound sort of random to our audience, but Stacey, this is something that we see all the time where women just feel they have to like divulge. That's not being honest, and it's not carrying the thought process of your reputation and your role in that company. Do we want people to have a positive image of mental health and family and all the things that you need to juggle as a woman in the workplace? Of course. But please don't put the burden on other people where it's not their burden of the information. And I think these types of conversations of what women are used to having with their friends or family, we have to shift gears. This is the workplace.
Mhm.
This is the workplace.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I also think honest conversations doesn't equal sharing all.
yes, exactly.
And I think sometimes women feel like sharing all brings them closer.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just simply not true. Sharing all gives people information about you that they don't need to have.
Yes. And likewise
Right.
with sharing information of other people. Brene Brown
Oh,
calls this false
yes.
connection,
Yes.
where we're actually creating connection based on something that's not true connection. How about having to be right?
Mhm. I learned a long time ago that is so not important. You don't
Yes.
need to be right.
Right. Right. You're right.
You need to be able to read the room, understand what leadership wants, have an honest conversation, and carry it through like an executive,
That's it. That
right?
is
You
so
don't
it.
have to be right.
Yes. And when we think we're being right, we're really only right from our perspective. We may not be right at all from someone else's perspective. And honest query is, how do you know you're right? Are you
Mhm.
sure that you have all the data? You probably don't. You're probably just coming from your point of view. And opinions don't necessarily matter if they're not in alignment with your objectives, with the project, with what your boss wants, what your company's objectives are. All of these sort of come into this pot of navigating politics. And we always say that the workplace is like a three-dimensional chessboard. We might be making a move with a play that we know and a piece that we know, but someone else might be playing a whole nother chess game on top of that. And we may
Mhm.
not be aware of it. Politics comes into play when there's more than one person. So if you have a personal relationship with someone, you're already playing politics. So for
Exactly.
those who come to this conversation, well, I don't like to play politics. That's not for me. I'll never get ahead. You're already a human being playing politics, navigating human beings, even at the grocery store, but specifically in your own household. So being able to read others, being able to address things that are important to others to get what you want is what politics is. Now, Stacey, as the
Always. Every
CEO,
company has politics,
yes,
whether you
every
believe
human
it or not.
interaction, every
Exactly.
family has politics, for God's sake. So as the CEO reporting to the board for 14 years, you had real politics, 14 different opinions. You had to keep the company moving forward. You had to ensure that they were profitable. You had to ensure that you were getting the right talent, growing it in a way that made sense. How did you navigate those politics?
Well, I would do a lot of homework ahead of the meeting, ahead of meeting with the board members. I would almost get consensus, back to the consensus, ahead of time before going into a meeting. I understood what everybody wants. I understood where they felt about a certain topic, what was important to them, what wasn't important to them. Where could I rank that on the needs of the importance for this particular meeting, where I could get a win, where I would be able to give a little bit, the give and get game. There's always give and get.
Right.
It's not all give. It's not all get.
Right.
Excuse me. It's a balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when we're in stress mode, when we are preserving ourselves, when we're trying to stay ahead, when we're overworked or overwhelmed, we can't be that savvy. Our psychology begins to be broken down. Our ability to thrive, our ability to problem solve, which all comes from the prefrontal cortex, which is not available to us when we're in stress mode. When we're in stress mode, we are hijacked by our primitive brain, and it's our executive function in our prefrontal cortex, right behind that forehead bone, that makes us more evolved than animals. And if we're in our stress mode, we're going to have sort of this animalistic survival instinct going to sort of break it down into simple fashion. And we're not going to be able to navigate the sophistication of a multi-layered chess game. We're not going to be able to have the patience to have conversations with 14 different stakeholders before the meeting. And then I got to say, how many times did you have to circle back after the meeting to those 14?
All the time.
And there almost all 14, right?
Yeah. There was usually always follow, because in a meeting, they're not always sharing either. And you could tell by their body language what makes them uncomfortable. Right. So you have to kind of smooth it over afterwards. Right. Again, it's knowing the room, understanding what people want. Right. The conversations are never over. You have to continually work your teams up, down, sideways. Right. The work is never there. I had a successful career, but I worked at it.
Right.
But also you got to have some fun in it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the aspect of absolutely knowing who you are and what you want out of life. Look, not everyone wants to be a CEO or a COO like we were, but just being able to navigate, even being a manager or a senior manager, a director, senior director, VP, senior VP, EVP. We've had some of our clients get these great promotions into these next level roles. And every role that you move up, you have to do this, the stuff that we're talking about, better than the content of your job. I just read something recently that said, as you move up the ladder, for every step you move up, you have 10 to 20% less content knowledge necessary for that job. Which, CEO, do you need any content knowledge? Not much.
Right. Less of the subject matter expert, more of the facilitator, more of the get done, more of the strategy, and less content.
Yeah. And developing your talent underneath you, being a real leader.
And your team.
Yeah.
Developing your team, supporting your team, giving them what they need. I mean, we haven't even hit on that because that's a whole nother podcast, I'm sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Let's talk about one elephant in the room. And we coach on this regularly. And that's the word being likable.
Yeah.
A lot of women.
It's important.
get sideways with the content knowledge, with being right, with having the answers, with needing to do so much in a short period of time, that they become just these massive doer, heads down, and they lose their heart. They lose their people appeal, and they're marginalized. We've seen women get fired and marginalized. I'd say it's 25 to 30% of our client base in any given month, where women are just overworked so much that you lose your ability to be likable, and you become this almost robotic worker doer, even if you're at a high level. I mean, we've seen women at the highest level of executiveness lose their likability.
Yes.
They just get out of touch with themselves. This is a big
because
problem.
they're enmeshed in stress, and their body is in overdrive on that, and they're losing that ability to kind of see clear, to feel more honest, to feel more free. Right. Likability is big, and there's a lot of tips that we coach our women on. Again, probably another podcast subject, but it's extremely important. Do not underestimate being likable.
That's right. That's right. So many of these things we can dive in, but as we're speaking here, I'm thinking about so much of the deep coaching we've done in our Leadership Academy together over the past 3+ years. So much that we do with our executive circle and helping them navigate the trickiest minefields. But it's so worth it when they have a win and they feel like they're able to lead their team or do something significant or different for their company and be visible and appreciated. It's a major win. And let's be honest, if you can play at the highest levels, you're going to make more money and you're going to have more freedom, therefore, to have a life that you want to have. It's not that money is everything, but money is a piece of enjoying a full and thriving life. So being able to play at the highest level that you're built for and earn the highest level of money that you can gives you a much more multidimensionally satisfying life. We've been working together, and we were probably our first coaches helping navigate promotions, new jobs, asking for more money, not backing down, being able to navigate, negotiate agreements, not only with our employers, but also at vendors, and being able to sort of strong arm and muscle. We got this way through taking chances and taking risks and believing in ourselves and having someone else who believed in us along the way. And this is an important element that a lot of women are missing out on, because a lot of women say that they're the highest earner of all their friends and family. They don't have other people who are peers with them. They can't talk openly about these things. They don't know who to turn to. And this is an important part of hiring the right coach. We're certainly not the only executive and career coaches out there, but I think we're probably some of the best. When you work with Team Coach Mo, not only do you get Stacey and I, C-suite executives, but a great mindset coach, a great LinkedIn and mindset coach, a great certified resume coach. We have a fantastic team. We wrap our arms around each and every woman, no matter what level of your professional status you're at, to help you heal on the inside, to be whole and happy, and then all the strategies to take it to the next level. You may not be advancing because of some of the things that we talked about. And you may not be advancing because some of the things that we talked about, you don't even know are going on. So how do we help you with that? We provide a complimentary career clarity call at mofall.com/talk, where you can talk to one of our career breakthrough strategists. These are specially trained coaches who are going to work with you and walk you through what's really going on. And if we can help you with what's going on, if we can help you advance and up level and solve your career problems, we may be the right fit and talk to you about what that looks like and help you join our movement, Soul-Powered Careers. We are helping women get healed from the inside and be able to up level their career, having better lives, families. Our ladies have better relationships with their partners, with their family members. We're really helping heal lives and be able to have a career that doesn't crater your life, but a career that adds flavor and dimension and freedom to your life. That's what we both had as we advanced. And we were out on the porch a couple of months ago. I think, Stacey, we were talking about this. Would we do it all over again? And our answer was yes.
Yes.
Playing at the highest levels is a lot of fun when you have the support and the resources and you know how to go about doing it. It is no fun if you're on your own, banging your head about and having a crappy time doing it. So enjoy your life, enjoy your career. We can show you how. mofall.com/talk. Stacey, it's a pleasure to talk to you about this stuff. You and I talk about these things all the time as we're helping our clients navigate the highest levels. Anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here for today?
No, thanks for having me. It was a great conversation. These are all critical things for women to continue on their career path. And the way to do it is to get coached by people who know how to do it, who have been through it, who understand the room.
Right. Amen to that. Stacey, it's been a pleasure. Folks, again, it's coachmofall.com/talk to book your complimentary career clarity call to see if we can even help you. If we can, we're going to help you soar. It's a lot of fun, and we'll be there with you every step of the way. This is Coach Mofall, mofall.com, everywhere on the internet. We help up-level women into soul-powered careers that feel good and pay them better, and we love what we're doing. We'll see you on the other side of this, mofall.com/talk. Stacey, again, thanks.